Hello, I'm Mirella.
Hello, I'm Zoe. Welcome to the Critical Obsession podcast.
Our latest obsession has been a TBL called Dangerous Romance. The episodes are free to watch on YouTube. There will be spoilers, so you should definitely go and watch a series before listening to us fangirl about it.
A little disclaimer, this will contain our personal opinions, random thoughts and theories. There will be cursing, and also be aware that topics may be adult in nature, and alcohol may be involved.
Our laughter will be painful to listen to, but bear with us. Last time we reacted to the latest episode of Dangerous Romance, but now we want to talk about it some more.
If you're still with us after all of this, join us on our downward spiral into our obsessions.
Episode 8.
Episode 8, Critical Discussion. I'm like, I don't know where to start, but there's 22 pages of notes. So,
We first have the scene with Salom and
Safai.
Saifa. Yeah. And Saifa assures him that he's not intending to do anything bad. And Salom believes him, basically.
Well, he wants to believe him. I don't know that he actually believes him. I feel like he's like willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And then he says, "Oh, how much is that soundbar worth?" And Salam's like, "Get out."
Yeah.
And then we go from that scene to them studying, is it?
Yeah.
Which is just like, once again, just them being cute, basically.
Yeah, I could not like handle it. Like I made a post on Tumblr like, has someone made a GIF out of Kang's reaction? No one did, so I had to do it. I did not do it right. I did not. It was not pleasant. It took me a lot of time. I don't want to do it again, but I'm happy that it exists.
Well, I just feel like it was just cute. And that's the post, isn't it? The one where I was just like, where I read the caption wrong.
Grandma, stand up, please.
Well, because, like, okay, so what is it? Why on earth would you do that? We have our own bedrooms. And I'm just like, I totally read it as, why on earth do we have our own bedrooms? And I'm like, excellent question. Let's ask
Maybe
Grandma.
that's what's happening. What was happening inside his head?
Yeah. He's like, it's just a waste. We should. I see Kang wanting to be poor. He's like, we should, conserve our funds and like share a room. He's very into sharing the bed.
He cares about the environment.
Yeah, right. And this is why I think this is where I sort of started my note. Kang staring at Salom trying to sleep. Because when that post came out, GMM advertising the episode, and then when we watched the episode, I believe I mentioned it before and like after the episode about like what a weirdo he was. Like, I'm just like, he's such a psycho. And then Salom's like, why are you staring at me like a psycho? And I'm just like, high five, Salom. We have the same brain about this. But yeah, I really did like that scene. I liked how we got some serious kind of deep conversation from them, but also alluding to the fact that they've had that, and then also just the fun banter that they have.
It's a pity that we did not see that conversation, though.
It is, yeah. I literally said,
it's
like,
so weird.
Liked...
It feels like they cut out the scene that they filmed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder, we know that there was stuff missing from one of the episodes that they reshot or whatever, so maybe it wasn't amongst there, and it somehow got cut out, and I don't know why. But it definitely seems like a conversation. Like, we left the room for a bathroom break, and when we came back, they were talking about this, and we were like, hang on.
No. Please.
But yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen it for sure, but I'm glad that they're talking about it,
Yeah.
But Kang being sweet and deep, I feel like it, and then it freaking Salom out so that they like both ended up laughing. And I feel like this is it though, to a certain extent. Kang is so deep in his feelings, like he's so intense sometimes that he's probably scaring the crap out of Salom a bit. I think
he really is intense. Yeah, he's intense and direct.
And I feel like, and it's funny because I remember saying this like way back when, like 5 episodes ago. But I remember saying like when he's gonna be in, he'll be like all in, like balls to the wall, like I'm here for it. And I feel like he probably sometimes is freaking Salom out, because not that I don't think Salom doesn't feel the same. Like, I feel like he probably is like, if he falls in the same way and then it all gets taken away, like it's it's all so much worse that way. But
But I also think that Kang's communication skills are much better than Selom's. Like he has the plan now, and they obviously talk about everything. Saifa was probably busy working and providing, and they did not spend so much time together. So I
yeah,
guess Salom used to keep his feelings to himself and his thoughts also to himself. And now Kang doing this with him, showing him how he like how gone he is for him.
yeah.
It probably makes him a bit
He's
uncomfortable, but
yeah,
he probably
he's
like
not
it.
used to it for sure. And I feel like,
Yeah.
any conversations he probably had with Sapphire are like somewhat superficial. And I mean, just this whole bit, like Kang wanting to hug him while sleeping, it's all just very precious and very pure and very sweet. And we have him thanking Salom again. I mean, like the list of things that he's thanking this boy for. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for dating me. Thank you for making me pay attention, and you know, and
Yeah.
everything. It's just like, on one hand, it's really sweet, but it's also, I don't know. There's something about it that concerns me. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'll figure out why later on. And then we get the blind panic of the next morning.
Maybe because he feels like he's the one who's receiving, and he probably feels like he doesn't really give anything back, but this space that Salome is in, or this protection that basically is he is doing,
Mm-hmm.
Salome being in his house
Well,
and being provided for.
yeah, it's interesting because I think I mentioned it later on in my notes. Like, I think I said something about along the lines of that. Like, I feel like he feels like what Salom is giving him is way more than what he's giving Salom, especially considering Salom like basically rejects half of what he has to offer, which is like his money and stuff.
And even his honesty, like he deflects.
When it gets too serious, it becomes a joke, or like he just ignores it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we get the scene in the next morning where we have the blind panic, and I'm just like, Kang is hilarious in this scene, and I'm like, dude, just go into the bathroom already. Like, what are you even doing? Or like, they could have just both acted like they just were already up and hanging out. Like, it's not, it wasn't that difficult. But of course, obviously, I mean, this is the thing, and I've said this in a discussion I had with someone once before. It's interesting how people who are doing, not necessarily doing something shady, but like having shady thoughts, whether they're like intimate thoughts about each other, or like, maybe it's a secret relationship or something, for example. And like, you don't want people to know things that are completely normal, like maybe even platonic behavior that would normally be acceptable between friends or whatever. When they do it, they act like it's the most scandalous thing in the world, because their intentions behind it are different than, say, two friends. Like, their intentions are, when they touch that person in that way, even though it's a really innocent touch or whatever, it's like, it's super intimate, it means so much more. Then maybe they get excited about it, like whatever. And so the reaction is like so extreme in the opposite direction, because like they could have just seriously chilled and act like nothing was going on, and no one would have been really suspicious, but instead they acted really suspicious. But I feel like it's really interesting, this episode, because we are led to believe that it takes over the time frame of over a month, or at least a month, because we get the time frame given to us by Guy, who says, like, he's been offered a tryout for the team in a month's time. And so then we have all the training montage and all that sort of stuff. But so, like, we know that they've been dating for over a month at the end of this episode. And it's interesting. And as I said, I have comments on it, so I'll mention them later. But it is interesting that we actually get a time frame to this. And I think it's the first time we've really actually got a time frame, at least one that I've noticed anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was like, of course, we're in this thing, they're acting super like weird, and I'm just like, I was watching this and I was thinking, like, what would Sapphire think if he knew? And we talked about this before, and he said he probably already knows, and he may.
Mhm.
But I'm curious to know, like, what would he say to his brother if they were actually talking about it? Because I feel like he'd probably tell Salom that Kang was like using him or something, and that
Mhm.
like, he's like, that he's just convenient or whatever because he's there, or whatever. Whereas we know that is not the truth. We know that he really loves him. But the thing that I got from this scene was, I really wasn't sure what the hell the point of it was. Can you tell me what the point of this scene was?
I think it's that they're not ready to share this with people who are closest to them, and that they probably, it's like you said, there's something that they're not ready to acknowledge yet. There,
Mm.
like their physical attraction or something, and of course they don't feel comfortable if they get caught in this situation where they feel intimate, that
Yeah,
feels
maybe.
intimate.
Maybe. I mean, they did go from sort of, being in bed together, I guess, which is
Well,
not
I think
really.
they're trying to keep the bubble inside their house intact. Like they're okay with friends, like everyone knowing at school. Just as you said, it's a safe space. It's for them. But inside the house, like it's the castle, it's Kang's prison, and as we discussed in episode 4, so they need the safe space. Like
Mm.
it's the bathroom, it's their rooms. They need the safe space in the house. They cannot just be themselves.
Yeah, that's true. It could also be like what you were saying though as well, that like because it's they were being intimate, and so if you think about like telling, say, your family that you're dating someone, and also maybe that you're dating someone of the same sex. I don't know, like having them find you in bed is probably the best way to
Yeah,
start
yeah,
that
yeah,
conversation. So
yeah.
maybe there was a little bit of that in there as well. But I just, I at the end of that scene, I was just going like, what was its purpose? Like it was cute and it was funny and it's like whatever, but it was like, I don't know. I,
Well,
I,
they're teenagers.
I'm starting to feel though that like the writers and the directors of this show aren't putting anything in that doesn't belong or that doesn't have some sort of purpose.
Mhm.
So it made me think about that scene, because that scene is kind of a nothing scene, like really, in the grand scheme of things of this episode.
Well,
Um,
what would have happened if Saifa did find them like that? He would know that they're much more serious than he thought. Like he probably suspects that his brother is into Kang, but he doesn't know to what extent, and
mm.
he doesn't know that Kang is also interested in him.
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting too as well, because like there, it's funny. Like I feel like anybody can have sex, right? Like I mean, you can have sex with anybody. This is gonna sound
Mhm.
really like it's like, where are you going with this, Zoe? But no, but like I feel like
There you go, there you go. What's happening?
it's way more intimate to sleep with somebody. And
Mhm.
that's like literally all they did was just sleep together. And they fell asleep like holding each other. Like that's way more intimate than any sexual act that you'll ever perform. So it's like even that, as you said, is very telling of their relationship, because if we go from like my idea of like Sapphire being like, oh, he's just using you or like whatever, then you would expect that Kang would be there for sex and that's it,
Mhm.
not like spending the night holding him while like whispering
Well,
in
look,
his ear and making him all shivery. So the comment about where he said like you're not secretly you're not secretly patting a cat, are you? I mean, it just sounds really wrong. Like it should be some sort of dirty code or something. And then the cat sound effect, and I was just like, oh my god, because it's so funny to me. Like it's so common in BLs to use these sound effects. Like the horse neighing when someone's horny and all that. So it's like it totally takes you out of it, because it's like so. I don't know. I just
tend
it's
to
so
ignore it.
sorry.
Sometimes, like I basically ignored it here. Like I mostly don't hear the sounds in this series because which is weird because I'm attentive to the sounds, to
Well,
the
I
music and
I
everything.
don't
But
think they've really had them before now. I haven't noticed
well,
them.
noticed one in the bathroom when the scene between Nava and
Oh yeah,
Guy.
in this episode, I noticed the cat in this scene, and then there's the whistle sound in
Yeah.
with Nava and Guy later on. Yeah, but I think this is the first time we've had them, and it's like it's so funny to me because like the cat meowing one, I didn't even notice that when we were watching the episode until I rewatched it, and I was just like, how did they sneak that in there? Maybe it's like I probably just thought it was like one of my cats. I have cats, and I was just like, okay. I'm like, what was the point in that? It makes me feel like as well using the cat sound is that like he's like secretly patting a cat thing is actually like a dirty connotation, but I don't know because. But anyway,
Maybe.
yeah. Well, it's interesting. I'm curious to like as much as I don't want them to do it. I'm sort of curious to see if they use the sound effects again and why and where, because in the Nava and Guy scene, it makes sense because like that's totally them. It fit with
Mhm.
them so well. But yeah, so then we're moving along. The friends hanging out together when they're not even there. It's just like the funniest thing to me ever.
I love that. I loved every moment with Noah and
Guy.
Guy in this
Yeah.
episode. Like, I loved every moment. I laughed so hard. I adore them.
Well,
I
it's
don't know how they did it because I wasn't that into them at the beginning. I was like, I was a bit skeptical. But now that I look back, I can see how just as with Salom and Kang, you can basically see that Nava was a bit obsessed with Guy.
yeah, Nava and Guy were hilarious in this episode. I completely agree with that. And seriously, feeding each other. Like, it's like the gayest thing ever. And it's so what's even funnier though is like Max and Otto like watching them, because Max is just like, what the fuck? And Otto has this like little smile on his face, and I'm just like, oh my god, he's so shipping them. I'm convinced that Otto is like a little shipper.
Do you think they're aware of what's happening between them? I think they might be aware, but they're kind of scared to be the first one to admit it to the other one or to themselves in a
I'm
way.
like you. I think Nava knows, but I think Guy's just like I feel like Guy's just a guy. Like, he hasn't really like worked it out yet. Although I don't know, like when we first saw the scene, I'm jumping ahead now, but when we see the scene like when they're gonna fight, and like Nava first walks in, he looks really like, what's the word I'm looking
Trouble.
for? Like, yeah, like pensive, like he's like thinking about something. He's thinking really hard about something. So like he's either thinking about how like he really doesn't want to do this. I think I said it in the reaction podcast as well. I had this feeling like when we were watching it that he was going to like console him for not making the team. I couldn't think of the word console.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like we had that whole discussion before Nava enters the bathroom. So as the viewer, we know he didn't make the team, right?
Uh-huh.
And then we saw Guy,
Maybe
and
he's sad that he did not
yeah,
make that.
he seemed like, as you said, like trouble and pensive, and he was like, I like if he had said like, oh, I'm really sorry you didn't make the team, or like if he had tried to like console him in some way, I wouldn't have been
Yeah, but
surprised.
also,
Like,
I think another argument to the idea that Guy is aware is that sound effect that they used when Guy was making, these comments, and that means Guy had, inappropriate thoughts. Like, he got the suggestion. He understood that it's not just
oh yeah, like he sort of got what he thought the other one was like suggesting. But
exactly. And then when Nawa kind of hits him with his foot, and he barely responds, and then he runs away. I mean, he got embarrassed, or like he got shy and he ran away. He got fucking shy.
yeah, I'm like super curious to see where they go with this, because it's really funny. Like I did think they were gonna kiss. Like I've seen lots of people going, okay, well I thought they were gonna kiss in that scene, and
Because it's so funny, and I don't know, it
I
just
complete
works.
I completely understand why people thought they might have kissed though. I mean, it was
Yeah,
great the way they did it,
yeah.
but I feel like, as I said to you, I feel like they'll save them kissing and getting together for when like the shit hits the fan with Kang and
Maybe.
Salom, and we need we need something to like drag us out of off the
Depression.
floor from and
Mm,
out of our depression.
yeah.
So, but yeah, and then we get the whole soccer thing with Kang and Salom when they're walking along, and he wants to play,
Hmm.
and Salom watching Kang show interest in something, he has to give it to him.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
he just has to give it to him, and I'm
It's
like
his it's his need to provide for Kang's needs.
yeah, and I'm like dying over the choop choop. I'm just like, it was just
So,
like the
so
cutest
cute.
thing ever, seriously.
Yes.
But it's like, it's so funny because I've written here, and as I was writing this list down, I was like laughing at myself because I wrote here the little things that Kang wants, and it's like I've written the little things, but they're not little things; they're big things, really. But like Salom's approval, his interest, his time, his love, his care, his trust, his support, his belief, and he wants Salom to want them back.
Yeah.
I mean, he already has Kang's interest. I mean, he's had Kang's interest from like pretty much the start, let's be honest. He has his time, he has his love, he has his care, he has his trust, he has his support, and he has his understanding. But as I said, was saying earlier, you know, like the support though with Kang comes with financial benefits, which, as we know, Salom is not receptive to at this point in time.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a thing I want to say about their closeness, about their intimacy.
mm-hmm.
I think Salom is kind of distant, and he is distant as a person, not only with Kang. It's his way of being, because this is how he grew up. This is how he learned to survive, and he probably spent a lot of time alone, taking care of himself and stepping up to help his brother because he was grateful, and also he knew that that just had to be done because Saifa, as much as he tried, it was not really enough. So I saw people speak about the fact that they're not really being very boyfriendy, so to speak, and that they think that Salom and Ken kind of act like friends instead. And I don't really agree with that. I
No,
mean,
I don't
you
either.
read the story. Well, in because the story is aware of this fact. The story is aware of the fact that there's distance between them. Because, well, literally in this episode, Kang literally begs for Salom to act like a boyfriend with him, and sulks when Salom doesn't. But he still is happy with the crumbs that he's given. He just can't resist it. And so, as we talked before, Salom is self-reliant, and he probably has abandonment issues.
Mm.
He thinks that in the end he has to take care of his own problems by himself.
Mm.
It feels like he has opened up a little bit with Kang, but his reaction to Kang being late clearly shows that he's still wary, and his anxiety and distrust are still there, ingrained deep inside of him. So I had this thought when rewatching the episode yesterday. Kang wanted to bend Salom down to his will and make him bow down at his feet, right?
Mm.
What's interesting is that he never managed to do that. Actually, he was the one, as he said himself, who got defeated every time. So Salom never bent for Kang. Kang only saw Salom's vulnerability when he was broken.
Mm.
Kang is the defeated one still. He finally understood that the only way he can get Salom to open up, at least a little bit, is by knocking nicely and patiently and waiting at all these closed doors that Salom has, and wait and hope and that Salom opens them.
Mm.
He asks for hugs, he asks for affection, he asks for patience. And when these things don't trigger Salom's trauma and insecurities, Salom's response is to provide Kang with whatever he needs, right?
Mm.
So, another thought is that the doors rarely open from the inside. The first time I can remember Salom opening a door and actually being vulnerable on his own accord when he confessed his feelings. But even then, he was still broken. It was another moment when he was vulnerable because he was broken. Because at that time, it was like Kang was banging on his walls, not really on doors, but on walls, trying to force this narrative of Salom liking Pinfa on him. And it hurt him and frustrated him so much that, like, in my imagination, Salom opened the door and was like, "What the fuck, dude? What the fuck?" So even then, he was broken. And then there was the day when he got sick, which also felt traumatic, and he was proven that day again why being vulnerable is a mistake actually. So he's wary. He wants to trust him. He wants to give him a chance and benefit of the doubt and believe in him because he's in love and he can see the good in Kang. But it's so much easier for him just to sacrifice himself than actually open up and be vulnerable with him. Kang probably feels like he's walking on thin glass when it comes to closeness and intimacy, and he's extra careful. Like, he looks so insecure when he asks for a hug when they're in bed. That hug felt like it was tentative. The word tentative comes back for me here, that because everything that Kang does is tentative. Like, he asks for affection, he asks for Salom's vulnerability.
Mm.
And Salom being apprehensive is not just there I don't like when characters are being represented like this, especially when it's about physical intimacy. Like I I enjoy when I see things and I believe in them, and sometimes it just looks weird
Mm.
when one person, for example, wants to have sex and the other is like, "Oh no, no, please no. Don't do this to me, no." And then the other one is like, "Yes, yes," and "No, no." I mean, but I did not have this thought here because it just fits the story. It fits their characters.
Yeah, I
Like it's
actually,
his personality.
yeah, completely agree with what you're saying. I think also it falls in line with the fact that they are just teenagers as well. Like, so I actually talked about, I actually have this in my notes later on, but we'll talk about it now since you brought it up. This whole idea of the time frame, as I said, at this point, we roughly know, say they've been dating, let's say they've been dating a month at this point, right? So in the real world, like in a normal situation of like a couple getting together and dating, funnily enough, they may have kissed and been more intimate by now than they have been. I think it's for two reasons. I think the reasons that you've brought up, very much so. And that is because I think as well, like with Salom, besides like, he's very serious all the time. Like
Yes.
he doesn't play around and act like baby and act like all like lovey. He doesn't. He's not had the, like we say, the luxury. Brought the luxury up with
Hmm.
Safai, and he didn't have the luxury of like having someone, a support system, or like
Yeah.
being able to be moral or whatever. Well, to a certain extent, Salom hasn't had the luxury of being a normal teenager either. Like he's always had to, as you said, keep himself in line, and to suddenly just be like all lovey-dovey and all coupley and all that, so it doesn't fit because it's not something he's familiar with. So like if they are literally like two new babies, like baby giraffes basically trying to stand up essentially, and obviously like Kang is like he's still falling over, but he's like, I've got this, and it's like, no, you don't. But but Salome is quietly trying to stand up, right? And he's just like he's paying attention to King, but he's just like he's trying to get up on his own first. And I feel like completely what you said, but I also feel like it's their situation that they're currently in. Like they live together. You know what I mean? Like it would be so easy for them to go from like 0 to like 5,000 without even blinking,
Yeah.
without even doing any of the like little things that you should do before any of that happens. Like they need to get
Yeah.
to know each other properly. Like they are slowly getting there. Like they know each other probably better than anyone else in the world knows the other one. But at the same time, there are still things they don't know about each other or they don't quite understand about each other. We talked about this as
Yeah,
well in
because there's some
past podcasts.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like Kang's personality is to be like he's charismatic and he's so starved for touch and affection. Like it's so like he's not been getting that from his dad. Like if he got anything, it's from his grandma. And let's face it, that's like different. You know what I mean? Like that's not what he needs, right? He needs I'm like, I'm not saying he's got daddy issues, but he's got daddy issues. But no, we already know he has
Well,
daddy issues.
because it's still with him is still like just as you talk about found family and people who feel like he thinks that his family kind of they have no choice in that to accept him. They need to accept him, or like and he does. His father doesn't even
No.
like
Yeah.
him, and so he feels worthless. And of course, having someone else appreciate him and want to be with him and everything, that's
The fu-
completely different for him.
Yeah, the funny thing is though, and it's to me, it's just really interesting because you say like people having an issue with it. I mean, I'm sorry, people who have an issue with that. I think you're a bit silly. Um, there goes half our listeners. No, I'm just kidding. But I just think that if you look at the things that he's attempting to gain from Salom, they're actually all really very innocent. Wanting to have a hug. You
I
know,
feel like maybe he wants more, but he might be scared of rejection. because
I'm not saying that he's not a horny little bastard. I mean, like, the trailer alone makes me think that, but like for next episode. But I just think that, like, I think he wants that. I think that it's more important to him to have Salom's love and affection rather than like necessarily any sexual contact. And we don't actually know that they're like not making out on their own. Just because we're not being shown that doesn't mean that, you know, like in the trailer for next episode we see that Salom is going to initiate. Well, it appears that Salom is going to initiate a kiss, which I hope we actually get. And I feel like that kiss is going to tell us a lot of things. One, it's going to tell us, have they been kissing all this time and we've just not been seeing it? Is it going to shut up all the naysayers about their last kiss, who were just like, oh, this is the way that Perth and Chimon kiss, and I don't want to see it anymore? And was that actually the kiss that we thought it was? Like, are we right? Was it just this like awkward, painful, tentative, you know, provisional kiss that was temporary, and, you know, all the rest of it, because they didn't know, like, Salom didn't know what the fuck was going on, like, you know, or like, could he trust Kang in this moment? So it's like, and I feel like to a certain extent he may not realize he's doing it, but it's like he has this secret checklist in his brain of hoops and like hurdles that he's going to put Kang through, and Kang has to pass them all.
Yeah.
You know, it's like pass fail, right? Now he has to pass them all. He's allowed a couple maybe, and it depends on what they are, but if he fails any of them, then like who knows what's going to happen then, right? I don't think he even realizes he's doing it. But the scene that we get later on when Kang doesn't come home when he says he's going to, that's like a perfect example of him expecting something from Kang that really he shouldn't be expecting from him, not at this point in time, right? He hasn't given him enough time to adapt, you know, just like Salom is trying to give himself plenty of time to adapt. He's not offering the same advantage to Kang. But yeah, so basically I think that it's a combination of what you were saying, and that is that Salom is not in a position really to be that free. And I think that he's just it would be completely, even if he wants to be all lovey-dovey, even if he wants to be cute, and he clearly thinks Kang is adorable, and he clearly thinks Kang's hot and all those sorts of things, it would be so out of character for them to have suddenly just been all like loved up or whatever. Like they don't know. They went from being so, if you look at how they were before, like before they became a couple, before they even realized, or before Kang even realized that he had feelings, they were so physically intimate and so unawkward, and just like there was no, in their bubble, they moved and reacted. It was so symbiotic. But now they're aware of one another. They're having these little awkward moments. They're having these things where you can see like Salom is overthinking something, or Kang is overthinking something, because it's completely different. Like they are not behaving like friends to me. They are behaving like two boys who are dating but just happen to live in the same house together. And so now it's not, they can't just date. They're in a full-on relationship. And their feelings are like deep enough to be in a full-on mature relationship, but they're not really quite there together at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like, I know what I'm trying to say. I'm just not sure if it's making any sense at all. But it's like they're not on the same page yet, but I feel like they're getting there. Kang is like a puppy, right? And Salom is like a cat. And I feel like that should explain it to everybody who's ever had a dog or a cat. Like, Kang is this like touch-starved, emotion-starved, you know, he wants that, you know, intimacy. And once again, I don't necessarily think, well, I think he's a normal teenage boy, so of course he wants to have sex with his boyfriend. I just feel like it's more important to him to have some sort of intimacy. He wants the emotional connection, I think, more so than anything else. Like, he wants Salom to be there in the moment with him, whereas Salom is apprehensive. He is not so sure. I really do feel like he's testing him. And I think as well, like, he's too serious, but he's also like, it's a seriousness, but it's also like this like emotional restraint. Which kind of makes him come across as more mature than Kang. but in actual fact, as you said, he's not. He's more stunted. Like, Kang is way more healthy. He doesn't care that they're two guys in love. He doesn't care that he's no hang-ups about any of it. He's just like, let's be boyfriends and I love you and let's be cute and like hold hands and let me blow kisses again, across the cafeteria at you and all that sort of stuff. He doesn't care if he looks like a fool. As long as like Salom is happy, as long as Salom loves him, he honestly does not give two shits about what everyone else is saying, what everyone else is thinking. And while I don't think that Salom necessarily cares either, I feel like he's way more apprehensive in regards to letting people see him. You know what I mean? Like, and this comes back to that vulnerability. Multiple times, Kang has wanted Salom to be vulnerable, and as you said, Salom has only so much been vulnerable by accident with Kang.
Yeah.
Whereas Kang has literally dropped all of his shields and been vulnerable in front of Salom so many times. He's so willing to be vulnerable with him. Like,
Yeah.
he's craving it. He craves it.
Yes.
And so he's quite comfortable being vulnerable in front of other people for Salom. Like, this being silly and being playful and all that. Like, there is a vulnerability in that, because he's letting other people into their bubble, let's call it, and
Yeah.
offering, up a chance to be ridiculed or like whatever, right? He has no problems. As long as Salom is there with him, he's good.
Yeah.
Salom he doesn't like being vulnerable. I feel like it's kind of like, this isn't really it, but like, I feel like there's probably a little bit of, like, what if he goes there with him and they're like, they're cute and they're in it, and he gives these parts of himself to Kang, and then it all goes away. And not only does it
Oh
all
yeah,
go
I think
away,
that.
but
Yeah, I think that's good.
everybody knows it all goes away. Everybody's witnessed it. Everybody looks at him and goes, oh, look, there's Salom, who has nothing.
I think Salom is kind of aware of the fact that maybe this thing like doesn't have a future. Like, I think he has this thought in his mind somewhere hidden, because right now he's letting it go. He's living the moment. He decided to just be there and leave whatever, like go through whatever happens. But at the same time, I think he knows there's an end. Like, this is
Mm.
something that he decided that's going to happen. There's an end because they come from different worlds.
Yeah, he can't see how it can work. I feel
Yeah,
like
there's their worlds, and he's so aware that their worlds are separated. Like, he can
Mm,
just blend with Kang and like his problems to be Kang's problems. No, his problems, like his depth, is his own problem. He is like, there's a line that he draws between them
mm.
still.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's very much like you couldn't. He's probably very much like you couldn't understand, but like at the same time, he's not really giving him the opportunity to. It's
Yeah,
just like he didn't give him the opportunity to explain. You know what I mean? He's making grand assumptions, which aren't really fair,
yeah.
for Kang. But yeah, you're probably definitely right. He's probably very fatalistic in his ideal about them, um, which will absolutely destroy Kang if he finds that out. Because Kang has them married and like adopted like Ethiopian babies already. Like, for real, I can see it. He just hasn't told Salom yet. He's like literally like, the file name was like Salom is Narak. Like, I'm sure he's got like in his notebook somewhere like their names like screwed together, like Mr. and Mr.
That's really possible. He would not even be embarrassed if someone finds out
No,
and brings
exactly.
it to
That's
light.
exactly my point. Like, he would just not even care. Meanwhile, Salom would like die or like
Yeah.
just be like, "Oh, ha, ha, that's so funny, you big psycho."
So, I want to talk about Salom's crush, and specifically, I'm going to refer to the post that Cass made on Tumblr, Cass the North Face. I am in love with this post. It's called Finding Salom in episodes 1 and 2. She has this sentences that, like, oh, a tiny part of him initially thrilled at being the sole focus on Kang's attention.
Can I just
This is beautiful. And then,
interrupt for just one
yeah,
second, because it's kind of pertinent to what we were just talking about.
yeah,
I read her post as well, and pretty much all of what we now must assume was going on in Salom's mind and feelings and emotions are all tied up as to why he isn't rushing headfirst into this relationship with like no abandon. You know, like he is restraining himself because of everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And his history and his position and his whatever. Like it's all together, but this has to have affected it as well.
Yeah, so she is talking about how when she watched episode 1 and 2, she saw everything in a completely different light, and I did that too. And yeah, and I think I can really understand this. I can understand Salom and his crush, and how when you like someone against your better judgment, and it's even harder to let go when the crush starts when you're a child and it's tied up to a single memory of that person being kind to you. So we watched the scene where Kang put Salom against the wall, and like it had such a different vibe now. Like Salom licking his lips and like him looking so unimpressed, but also like he was trying to challenge Kang. Like literally, a tiny part of him initially thrilled at being the sole focus of Kang's attention. Like he noticed him. This boy he has been pining about for such a long time. And Cass says he's turning his own attraction against Kang. And now that I look back, I can see how flirty the way he responds looks every time he smiles back. And like she said, did this feel like his most secret, long hidden fantasies turned to nightmares? Then I rewatched the scene where with the first ride home on the bike from episode 3 with, and now I see it as Salom being scared to trust him, not just because he's afraid he's going to, infiltrate his world and then betrayed him again and start bullying him, because we had that flashback of bullying. It's so much deeper than that now. It was about Salom's heart being in danger now that he's opening up a little bit to see the good in Kang again. Like he's afraid he's going to fall for him even more. And so that post made me develop another theory. Basically, I call it the umbrella. We had the bathroom, now we had the umbrella. You know how in the beginning we had this idea that Kang gives the umbrella that Kang gives to Salom is kind of a sign of his protection in a way. We talked about it, and I think I saw some posts about it. So I took it as it was until at some point I actually started thinking about it, and something seemed a bit off. And so I thought, what if the umbrella is actually a representation of Salom's feelings for Kang? But it felt a bit superficial, like I did not have enough information and I wasn't sure of it. And I was looking at it from the perspective of Salom, hoping that Kang might become like that kid again, something that really didn't fit. Like I did not, something was missing. So I made a note to look into that later and maybe read the lyrics to Shimon's song again, and then I forgot about it. And then I read the post that Cass made, and everything kind of fell into place for me. We find out that he's been harboring feelings for Kang since he was given the umbrella, basically. Now we see Salom's behavior in the first 2 episodes differently. He's been keeping the umbrella hidden, almost forgotten, because he was trying to bury his feelings for the boy who changed so drastically. But he couldn't just let go of it. He still kept it. And then when finally Kang proved that he still has good inside of him, that he's still that kid whose first instinct is to help Salom, and also continue doing so when faced with his own ugliness, Salom feels safe enough and secure enough to unearth the memory of that kid that he fell for and connect it to the boy that Kang is in episode 3. And then I decided, okay, let's check the song and look at the lyrics from the song. The closer I am, the harder I can hide the truth in this heart of mine. It's not about Salom from the later episodes. It's about his feelings in episode 2 when Kang saves him. That's when this song starts playing the first time, and then it plays when Kang drives him home for the first time.
I think it
So
fits. I think it does fit though now as well, because it basically is it that encompasses what we've just been talking about. I feel like he is keeping he's keeping Kang at a distance, because the closer they get, the more vulnerable he becomes, and the less he'll be able to hide exactly how. Like I feel like they are going to be that. We keep watching these couples, you and I, where like
Mhm.
one is like completely psychotically in love with the other one, and then like surprise, they both are, and actually the other one is worse.
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like
I think when Salom gets hurt and disappointed when Kang cuts, Kurt's Pinfa, because as we have been talking, like I had this idea that we have been talking about it. He thought they were on the same page about their feelings. He
mm,
thought they were going in the same direction. He thought maybe he doesn't really have to hide these feelings anymore. Like they're in, not really directly told, but they were kind of in the open. And now, so
but he
now
was
the
actually
the
starting. He was actually sort of starting to get like relaxed around him.
Yeah, and so now the moment when the umbrella falls, when Salom confesses his feelings, doesn't look like the loss of protection to me anymore. It looks like Salom losing control of his feelings. This is
Oh.
like a tiny little symbolic thing that I'm seeing here that's making me lose my mind, and I want to know if Kang knows that he gave Salom the umbrella, or else I need to know.
Well, this is the thing. They've clearly had this conversation, and it's like, and that he's mentioned that he had feelings back when the bullying started, but we don't know like what he actually told him. We don't know what he's confessed, like how long these feelings have been about or whatever. And I like this theory. I think it's very interesting, and it also triggers something that I remember thinking when we see the scene where he comes back home after he's like lost his job initially the first time, and he
Yeah,
opens the drawer and we see the original umbrella that like Kang gave him when they were kids. Now that umbrella is not an umbrella that was used. Like you can tell that he took that umbrella home and kept himself dry, and then he hoarded it. He kept it safe, and
he
like it was
did.
a treasure. Like it's been looked after. It was probably he probably never used it again. It was probably put in that drawer and just like it's like one of his prized possessions kind of thing. And I remember thinking like that was really kind of interesting at the time. And so this idea that he's had feelings for a long time, it's like him protecting his feelings, kind of like what kind of fits with what you're saying.
And Cass also suggested that the second umbrella represents Kang's feelings for Salom.
Well, I mean, we've already had him give it to him, didn't he? Like we saw him give it to him as an offer of protection, basically to protect him from the rain.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very interesting theory. Be interesting to see if they play into that later on. I mean, I feel like they must do something. They must be going to do something with the umbrellas. Otherwise, why bring them in? Because at this moment in time, only we as the viewer and Salom know the significance of the umbrellas, as far as we're aware.
Yeah, but he did say they're very important to him. I think they have to bring it up.
Mm. But it's definitely interesting. So the next thing we sort of see is Salom waiting for Kang to come back when he gets late. And to me,
Yeah,
initially, he looks concerned. He's a little bit kind of pissed, but he looks more concerned. And then I
yeah.
feel like he's kind of poisoned by his brother's negativity. He lumps Kang with, all of the, poor little rich boys that he knows
I
or
want
has
to defend
experienced.
Saifa here. I want to defend Saifa. Look what's happening. He knows Salom is very serious. He knows he can be like about his feelings, and he knows the way he is, and he has seen his brother pining and being hurt, obviously because of Kang. He has not seen really. He does not know how deep they are.
Yeah. I mean,
He
I'm
sees
not
he sees Kang he sees Kang as this spoiled rich kid, and wouldn't it be something that a big brother does? He sees how much time and energy Salom dedicates to Kang. He doesn't want him to get hurt again. He's not
mm,
aware that they were fucking made for each other, and that the universe pushes them together, and that like they're the literal embodiment of wind and windmill. He's normal. He acts like a big brother. Like he doesn't want Salom to get disappointed, basically,
I'm not really.
and hurt.
Funnily enough, I actually don't really have an issue with with Sapphire in this scene at all. My issue isn't with him,
Yeah.
and what he does and what he says. My issue is with Salom because he lets his brother's negativity or his brother's concern, let's call it. I'm using finger quotations around the concern because I
Mhm.
get what you're saying, but I'm also like, eh. Like the fact that he lets himself sort of be influenced by that negativity when he's the one who knows Kang, right? Like his brother knows rich boys like Kang. He doesn't know Kang.
Yeah.
So his anger and his frustration, I feel like, come from a little bit of fear. Like I feel like because I feel like you see him be a bit kind of concerned, right? And
Yeah.
Kang kind of looks shattered. And Kang gets me in this scene because he looks kind of shattered by the fact that, and shocked to see him
Yeah.
waiting for him. And it's like, I felt like this was like, there's so many echoes in this show of like things past or things to come. And this is like, this scene is an echo of when he first turns up for tutoring because, you know, he was playing soccer or whatever he was playing, and you know, had no intention of turning up to the tutor session, and then he does because he just had this like, what if he's there moment. But he didn't really think he'd be there, but then at the same time he kind of was concerned enough to think that he turned up, and then he was still surprised to see him there. Like it was kind of like a revisit of that scene for me. And I felt like in this moment, like expectations are a double-edged sword. Like he wants all these expectations, but like if you're not used to them, if you're not used to someone putting expectations on you, you don't know your boundaries. Like you don't know, like you don't expect things from other people, and you don't expect other people to expect things from you. So like rather Salom doesn't act the way Kang expects him to. Like he never has, right? Like way back when the bullying was started, he expected him to bend. He didn't. He showed no weakness. He wasn't impressed with Kang's money. He had morals and integrity. You know, Kang knows this, and yet he's not used to someone having stay up and wait and worry for him. Like probably outside grandma, right? Someone expecting things of him, demanding things of him. He's still learning what all this means, like, and how it makes him feel. And like he's only just
But
realizing how much he craves it and how much he needs it and how unprepared he is for Salom's attention. Like as much as he's like craving this attention and he's like begging for it, he's still like, you see, I feel like Perth is such a good actor because I feel like you see these moments where it's like he's like at both in this moment scared and shocked by like how much he needs to be in this moment, like how much he needs to like be receiving what he's receiving. And like someone knows Kang, like he wants to trust him. You know, I feel like he does trust Kang to a certain extent. I feel like he just doesn't trust himself with Kang, which makes sense because like he is silly for the boy. Like we keep seeing him, you know, giving him
yeah,
things, you know, without thought if he's not careful, you know. But like he lets
maybe,
others.
yeah, maybe he's scared because look at him dedicating his whole life to Kang, and now this like, if he'd already decided that this relationship we it does have an end, this for him this is a sign that, yeah, I know, yeah, of course this is going to end, of course at some point he's going to betray me, of course, you know, he will stop caring about me at some point.
Yeah, he's already, which is gets to my where I'm heading. But yeah, like but the fact that he's letting other people influence his feelings and his decisions about Kang, when except for Pimfar and Grandma, like they don't know Kang. They don't know Kang like he knows Kang. Like only Kang knows, like no one knows him like Salom does. And Kang might have gotten a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, and seen Salom's vulnerability. But as I said before, Kang has repeatedly let Salom see him. You
Okay,
know?
but you know, at the same time, Salom is a, I feel like he's a logical person, and he is strategic and, you know, serious, so he might be he might be aware that he is in love, and maybe he's blind to some stuff, you know, to love blinds, love makes you see the other person as perfect sometimes, and maybe he expects this from himself.
Mm. Well, I mean, we already know that Kang is blind because he hasn't noticed the imperfections in Salom that we've noticed.
Oh,
Like,
yes, yes. Like, yeah, that kind of forgot that Salom might have other issues that than the need of money, because he seems so perfect.
yeah.
And
Well,
maybe you know, maybe the series is kind of counting on us forgetting that too, because he was amazing. He's amazing. He's an amazing character, but there's so much there's so much trauma and issues buried underneath all that, you know,
mm.
strength.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see like if they're gonna pull this off in the way that I hope they will. If it's gonna go if it's gonna go all the way to the end in the way I hope it will. You know what I mean? Like I had no expectations from this for this show beyond that I thought it was gonna be good because I feel like they're great actors and they've got great chemistry. I really didn't know. I liked the trailer. I thought it looked interesting, but I did not in my wildest dreams expect to be so immersed in it in such
Mm.
a way that we actually created a fucking podcast. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I feel like
I don't think the creators talked about this series as much as we do.
no, I don't think so either.
So,
Like
like,
seriously.
yeah, but I feel, and this brings me to remember how we talked about like if that Salom might say, "I only used you for the money." I think in this episode they showed us that Kang's faith in Salom's love for him is not necessarily stronger than his belief that he's worthless, because the issue is with the fact that Kang doesn't have faith in himself. Kang has Salom's faith in him,
Mm,
and while he only believes in Salom.
mm. I feel like I feel like something happens and they're both kind of a little bit fatalistic because as you said, Salom is potentially looking at this relationship with the idea that it has an expiration date because of their situation. Kang might also be as well, which might be why we're seeing him cling a little bit more because he's now that he's got a taste for it, he's desperate for it, but his more is more because he's waiting for Salom to draw a line that he can't cross or close a door that he can't open. And his reaction to that will be like, well, yeah, of course, because I'm not actually good enough. I don't deserve him. I've done the wrong thing. I've whatever. All of this is like a hazard of stepping outside their bubble. Like all of what we're starting to see now is, they had to get together, they had to step out of the bubble, but at the same time it's like, you know,
What do you mean exactly? Is a hazard? What exactly do you mean?
well, Salon being influenced by outside people.
And the
That's
football and having Kang's having all the interests, yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
so
father.
I was a little angry. I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this previously. I was a little angry at Kang here for letting Salom speak to him the way he did. When really I was in the wrong. Because Kang would never hold Salom to the same standards as I am. Like, he doesn't think that he's earned or worth Salom yet,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if someone like Salom is mad at him, then he did something wrong.
Yeah, like if Salom tells him he's a piece of shit or that he's a spoiled rich kid, he'll just accept it.
Yeah.
He'll believe it as an universal truth.
Yeah, like he initially says like about the comment where he says, like, did you all you thought was I like was like a spoiled whatever
A
rich
jerk
jerk
to
or
you.
whatever, you
So
never like
so
whatever
I
he
was
said.
always a jerk to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
And
always a jerk
so
to you.
always a jerk, yeah. And so he's he's angry in that moment because he thought that they had moved past that and he thought that
Mm-hmm.
Salom thought more of him. But then having some time to think about it, he's like, I'm in the wrong. And you see that like when Guy says to him, are you going to stay in practice? And he says, oh no, I've got tutoring. Like he's like, this is
Mm-hmm.
the right thing. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
waiting for me. I have to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all he can do is like apologize himself and try not to make the same mistake again. That's like, I feel like that's where he's coming from. And both of them are like trying to sacrifice their futures for each other. Like we keep talking about Salom devoting his time to Kang and to get him into uni and all the rest of it, to the expense potentially of his own possible, study dreams. And Kang is trying, then we've got this scene here where Kang is trying to quit football to make sure that he can go to university so that Salom won't lose his job and leave him. And so like his debt will get paid and everything. Like they're both so desperate to sacrifice for one another without even being asked by the other person.
I don't know if
Um
Kang sees it that as himself as him sacrificing himself for Salom. I don't think either of them sees it this way.
I
Like
don't think
Salom
they
just
do.
does it because it's his personality. Like this is what he does. This
Yeah,
is what he does with the people that he loves.
I don't
But
necessarily think that they see it as a sacrifice. I'm just saying that's what they're doing.
Hmm.
Like initially, that's what they're doing.
Is it what Kang's doing though?
Well, it's what Kang tries to do when he says, "I'll quit football because if I stick with football, then I might not make it into university. If I don't make it into university, then you might lose your job." And then of course we get the like my debts are my problem comment from Salom.
That was such a cool thing to say in a way. Like,
It
I mean, yeah.
was, and
Oh my god.
it's definitely a line that's going to come up again for sure.
Yeah,
It's funny because
it's just this is the issue. This is main the main issue in the relationship, basically.
yeah, and
No,
it's like it's also the one where the line that you said, "I've always been a jerk in your eyes." I feel like that comment might come back again as well. There are a bunch of lines that were used in this episode that have so much, like even
yeah.
days later they're
Yeah.
resonating with me.
Actually, yes, I think that that thing with so always a jerk, I was always a jerk too, might come back because this time he doesn't think everything is lost because he knows Salom liked him even when he bullied him. Like
Yeah.
he knows he can work on it and win his trust back. He has this calm about it. But what if Salom tells him like I only liked you for the money?
I feel like Kang would be hurt and angry at first, but I feel like initially he's going to realize that that's not the truth because he knows Salom, and Salom has never been about the money with him.
That is true.
If anything, he's rejected him on that front.
That
So,
is true. That is going to be very dramatic. That might be a very dramatic scene.
oh, I think so too because it would ultimately hurt him, especially consider. But it's definitely something that potentially could happen though because we keep getting a Salom reassuring him that it's not about money for him, that
Yeah,
he's there purely and simply for Kang. So,
yeah,
and Kang needs that because like no one is there for him. I mean, except for Grandma,
yeah.
but Grandma doesn't count because Grandma is just like a paragon of virtue. Grandma's there for everybody. So, like he needs one person who's there for just him, only him, who wants to be in his existence, be part of his existence. But yeah, it's just
What's next?
yeah, I'm just it's interesting that we you brought up this whole it should make him confident really, shouldn't it? This idea that that Salom liked him even when he was an asshole.
Yeah,
Like it should make you confident, but it really doesn't make him confident. He's still just as insecure and like trying to make things up and whatever else. But it's interesting too because this idea of you know Salom being hesitant now when he's the one who's potentially had feelings for so long, and then we had that whole comment where he said about how he was trying to defeat Kang, and Kang's like, "Well, you did it every turn, and now, like,
yeah, and yeah,
you
but
own me." He's basically like, you own me," is basically essentially what he says to him. Like, I'm yours. Like, I
yeah,
fell for
this
you.
is like, oh
You
my
own my
god,
heart.
seriously, like, and this has been going on for a while, and like Kang evolved. He got to this point. He was not like this at the beginning with the "you owe me," right? He
Mm.
was questioning things, but Salom didn't really change because I want to stress about how the line "please let me" when I don't remember, was it when he was trying to go to play football again and someone was telling him to get
Yeah,
checked or something, right?
yeah. He's
Like,
injured. Yeah,
he said, yeah, he said, "please let me," and Salam responds, "I know a guy like you won't listen to me." Look what's happening here. Kang is giving him the full control over himself. Like, you can tell me whatever you want, but Salam is like, there's a line. And the same thing happened in episode 4. It reminded me of episode 4, where he's like, "why didn't you put pressure on me?" And Salam responds with, "do I have any influence over you?" So Salam's response is the same, while Kang's question changed because now he basically gives his control to Salam.
yeah. Well, the really funny thing is that this once again is just showing. I feel like Salom's misunderstanding and insistence on like putting these predisposed ideas and I guess checklists in front of Kang that he's already got. He's already made his mind up to a certain extent. He's not listening to Kang in this moment. Like Kang is, you
No.
know, he asks for permission, for Christ's sakes. Like,
Yeah.
and Salon doesn't know his own power yet. Like, he could so easily break this boy into a million pieces to which he would never ever recover from. Like, he has so much power and yet he has
But
no
he
idea.
refuses. He
Yeah.
refuses to
Yeah.
embrace his power.
And it's like Kang has literally given himself to Salom's care, to his tutelage. Like, he values his opinion and guidance so much. Like, oh my god, please let me. He wants permission, but also
Exactly.
the expectations and support. Like, Salom can give it or take it away. It's all in his power. And I feel like
Yes.
Kang, he doesn't want to upset Salom or disappoint him more than what is normal, like, for this stage in their relationship. And so I'm like, is it partly guilt, or like because of like what happened before, or does he just never want to see Salom so low again, like he did that night he found him in the house with the two drunk guys. If it's partly guilt, then I guess I hopefully we'll see them address it. But I'm just like, is just he has
He thinks.
given
I
Salom
don't
so
think
much
that.
power.
I don't think it's only guilt. I think
No,
um,
I wonder if that plays into it though as well.
I think is that Kang needs Salom's trust. Like he needs complete faith in him because that's the thing that keeps him afloat.
Mm.
That's the thing that keeps him moving. It's not. I don't think it's about guilt that much. It's about how he doesn't think he can do it by himself. If Salom does not believe in him, he doesn't think he actually is worth anything. If Salom
I
doesn't
think
believe in him.
I think though, but I think he's also, there's a like a knowledge base to it too. Like, I feel like he trusts him. I feel like he
Yeah,
trusts
because he thinks
Salom's
his
instincts to know what's better.
judgment. Yeah, judgment and infallible in his eyes. Like, yeah,
Like, I feel like in that moment, if Salom had said to him, "No, that's it. You need to go to the doctors or whatever," he would have been like, "Oh, okay."
okay, yeah,
And
I
like
think so too.
old Kang, like, who wouldn't have listened to anybody. He didn't listen to his friends. Like, he wouldn't have listened to anybody in that moment. But like Kang, Salom saying like no, and he would be like, okay. So, which is why, even though like he this love that he has for Salom is kind of borderline obsessive, is
Yeah,
actually really healthy still. Kang,
okay,
Kang will Kang will listen to Salom if he says no, in
okay,
like
okay.
whatever function that is. Like, he's very careful to, as you said, like, he's a big fan of like beating down the doors and everything, but he's very careful with Salom in asking for permission to literally do everything. Can I hug you? Can you give me affection? Can you gift me something?
Do you think it's because instinctively, like, I think he's not aware. I think he's not really conscious and aware of the issues of Salom's issues, but maybe because he's really good at communicating, and maybe he has this instinct that tells him intuition that tells him that he needs to do this because otherwise Salom would just
I think he's
be
just really
lost in the
careful
world.
with Salom as well. Like, I think he just really cares about protecting him. And I think if he hadn't have seen Salom in that vulnerable moment, then I feel like we may never have got to this point in the first place, but I feel like he definitely wouldn't be as careful with him as he is. I feel like he sees him, as much as he like thinks he's intelligent and smart and knowledgeable and mature and all that, he also sees him as something really, really precious to be
Do you
protected and
think?
to be handled in a certain way.
Do you think for Salom because he had been just for Kang it's not so traumatic to get vulnerable because he has not been through situations like Salom has,
No.
and maybe for Salom vulnerability it makes him think and remember those moments when he's beaten up, when he has no choice, when he's being held down, and that is one thing that makes him scared to be vulnerable because it's just painful for him.
Well, it could also factor into the intimacy thing as well, because what a lot of people don't realize, who've never been assaulted in any way or whatever, is that assaults don't have to be sexual in nature to make you feel uncomfortable in a sexual situation.
Hmm.
So, for example, if we look at the scene that Kang witnessed in that episode, he's being held down by two guys. Now, if you think about, if we make an assumption on the character sexuality, and you look at that assault, he's being held up by two guys. He's powerless. They're doing things he doesn't want him to. It's not sexual in any nature, but it's still an assault and an invasion of his person, right? So that also would potentially make you feel uncomfortable in, similar situations where you're giving up your power to somebody else.
When someone opens your doors without being invited inside,
Mm.
forces their way
Which Kate
inside.
would never do.
Hmm. Like he stopped doing it now that he like actually wants Salom to be vulnerable with him.
Well, it's interesting too, isn't it? That is interesting to know, because if we go back to the scene where like before they get together and they're flirting, and well, he's flirting hardcore in the bathroom with Salom and like taking off his clothes and being like, "Look at me," and all this. Like, this was definitely an invasion of Salom's privacy. He came in there
Yeah.
while Salom was in the bathroom,
Yeah.
and essentially like forced this, intimacy on him. Now, we've yet to really see anything similar to that since they've been together. He's asked for everything. The closest we get is when he takes off Salom's shirt in the "I think you should reward me" scene. And Salom's like, "Oh, if it's not, something indecent, I guess I can consider it."
Even the scene when Kang falls onto Salom, and you can see that Salom, like, he's ready to be kissed,
Yeah.
but Kang is very attentive. He doesn't do that.
No,
He,
because, and I think as well, like if we follow this narrative of him being really careful with Salom and
mm,
understanding that Salom is maybe not there yet, but also like the depth of it comes back to what I was saying. I don't think he's not in it just to like kiss and have sex or whatever. Like, he
yeah,
loves this boy. He doesn't want a cheap kiss. Like, if they're gonna have another proper kiss or whatever, if we're going under the assumption that they haven't been like making out like, horny teenagers every second they get when they're alone, then this next kiss of theirs or whatever, like, he wants it to mean something. He wants it to be the right kiss. They've had so many wrong kisses. Like,
yeah, exactly.
it's more important than just a quick cheap kiss, like, that came out of like, teasing one another. Like, he's in his
Yeah,
deep little heart, he's a deeply romantic little boy, I think. And I feel like he is not gonna go for that kiss. He wants the kiss that means something, which is why the kiss that we see in the trailer, that I really hope we get, coming from Salom initiating it, is going to mean so much more.
this is going to be perfect if Salom is on who initiates it.
And once again, we're going to have the whole "he's opening a door" situation.
Yeah.
He's letting
So,
Kang in.
yeah. So, because in the next episode it looks like he really is letting go of all his thoughts and worries and everything that's holding him grounded. He's just jumping into this with Kang. He's
Yeah.
he's sacrificing everything because Kang needs it.
Yeah. So if we go back to this whole bit where they're, having the conversation about like him quitting football, and Salom's like, no, you should do it, blah blah blah, and then he goes, okay, well, I'll do it, and then I'll also go to university and I'll do this and I'll do that and whatever. He's so confident in Salom's support, because he's like, I know I've got your support. Like, he's just, it's really, yeah. And the training session, how Kang just goes along with it all. Like, once again, no arguments. He just trusts Salom. He trusts
Yeah.
Salom to lead him. And bravo for the directors and that for making another study montage that was like completely difficult and completely different to the first one we had, and interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like
Love
I
it.
should mention here, because I feel like we might have bummed people out in our last couple of podcasts because we keep talking about a tragic end. And I mean, like, I feel like I'm like, trust us, we're bumming ourselves out. But like, I feel like
Well, yeah.
we can't help it, because like their story seems to have that tragic ring to it because of the, intense, soul star-crossed, romance, love thing.
It's an
I don't honestly, I don't think it's going to end negatively. I really don't. I feel like, while I don't feel like everything necessarily is going to be positive, I do think that for them, there'll be some sort of. I will be so mad. The podcast.
It doesn't matter how it ends. I will accept it as long as it's done well and makes sense for me. Like, even if someone dies, I will accept it.
Yeah. I feel like our reaction post to that episode would be very interesting. I feel like I'm definitely going to need alcohol for the final episode of this show. Like, I feel like that is definitely one night that I'm going to be heavily drinking. I'm either going to be like, yay, or I'm going to be like, gross, ugly, sobbing on a podcast. Is that a first, I wonder?
It would fit the story because like everything that we just said up until now. But at the same time, I kind of doubt that GMM would do that.
Yeah, true. It's so funny. I've got this note here that just says the way Kang is a big baby romantic sap with Salom. I mean, he really is.
They're really cute. They're both really cute, and Salome making that schedule, drawing it, like there's so much love in that gesture.
Oh, of course there is. I mean, down to the drawing of the windmill, like, honestly. And Kang also tells him in this episode that he loves him. Like, he does it as a joke, kind of. But I feel like now that we've been talking about the way he's handling Salome and the way Salome is reacting to certain things he does, these romantic overtures and stuff, when it gets too much, how it becomes a joke. I really do feel like it was a love confession, even though he did it in such a way that was like,
this is the only way Salome will accept it.
Yeah, like, it made him laugh, it made him smile, it was like the perfect moment. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if later on we get a scene where actually Salome confesses and actually says, I love you or whatever, and then like he's like, aren't you gonna say it back? And Kang will be like, I already said it, I said it first.
Let's go to the next topic.
Nava and Guy on the football pitch on the tryout day. Guy telling Nava to take care of himself.
Yeah, this is their theme, like threatening each other and also taking care of each other.
Yeah, and just like, seriously, the flirting. Now, it's funny because, you were saying how, like, in the beginning you were like, I find, like, second couples in drama series, whether it's a BL, whether it's like any drama series, the second couple are either like, for me, they're like the whole goal of the show. Like, there's been shows that I've been obsessed with and I can't stand the main couple. Like, I'm not there for them, I'm there for the second couple all the way, right? So for me with second couples, I'm either like that or I can't stand them. And I'm like, you're wasting my screen time, I could be getting more minutes of my main, right? So I find I'm never in the middle. I'm either they're better than the main or I hate you. And I love them so much. Like, right now, I'm just like, I just, I just love them. They're nuts, and they're just like so
they're
much
exactly
fun.
where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like they're the light-hearted version of Kang and Salome, essentially, because they have a similar backstory.
Yeah.
And,
I've thought about it too. Like, it's very similar.
like, if we look at how dark and traumatic and desperate and potentially like full of despair and whatever we have with Salome and Kang, and then you look at theirs and it's so bright and like unserious.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so if we move on to when, as we talked about it just a little bit before, about when he's asking permission from Salome to continue to play the game, and we see we see Salome say to him, like, it's so funny because every now and then Salome will do something that puts their relationship on a completely different level, and I don't know that he even realizes that he's doing it. And it could just be like, it may just be the writers not really like meaning to do this. Like, they could just be throwaway lines that they thought were funny, or they thought had like a little bit of innuendo in them or whatever. But I'm all for reading too much into things. So if I follow that rabbit down the hole, every now and then he'll say something and it ups their relationship to a different level, where, as I said, I don't think he even realizes he's doing it.
What do you mean?
So the line he says to Salom, I'm gonna give you an earful tonight, when he realizes, yeah, it's so domestic. It's so old married couple, like, we've been married for years, and like, you did something dumb, and like, you wait till we get home, like, it's like, it's just so domestic. And Kang's like, don't be mad, I just didn't want you to worry. And I feel like this is something else that might get thrown back at us later on. Like, I can very much hear Salom say to him, I just didn't want you to worry.
Yeah.
And I feel like, the other thing I feel like we need to sort of maybe comment on, and I really don't have anything to say about it other than the fact that I feel like we need to
You want
comment.
me to say something about it, right?
Yeah.
Tell me.
I don't feel like we need to say anything besides the fact that I feel like Salom's Susuna has like magical properties.
Yeah,
especially when Kang
that's
is
the wind blowing.
Yeah, when Kang is concerned, his Susuna is like, oh my god, like, if we could all have a daily dose of that, like, wow, our lives would be so good. And of course, every time he gives like Salom like encouragement, even when it's like super serious, I find myself like grinning like a lunatic, because I'm just like, he's healing him one encouraging comment at a time. But I'm also in the back of my mind knowing that at any given moment he could completely tear down all of this work he's done.
Yeah.
And then on that note, we're back to Nava and Guy and the fight. Nava's voice breaking on the number 2 when he's doing the countdown. I die every time I hear it. Like, I know we spoke about it previously, but I literally just like, I don't know whether that was just an accident of fortune, like where the actor's voice just happened to break at that moment. But if he did that on purpose, it was so fucking clever. I love it so much.
It was played so well by the actor. He did such a good job with that scene. Like,
I did. And when Nava smiles, oh my god, he's so cute. He's such a cute cutie. Like, and the whistle sound effect.
What's happening? These people were bullies in the beginning. What is wrong with us?
I know, right? Like, we should hate these characters, but we're just like, oh, I love them so much. And the whistle sound effect. This is the other place where we get the sound effect, as we mentioned. It just fits them because they're so chaotic and comedic and silly. But yeah. Oh, so there was something else that was really funny. So we get the scene where Kang's now made it on the team, and he comes in to Salom's bedroom through the bathroom, just wanders in, and he's got his little new jersey on and everything, and he asks for a gift. But as he walks in, it's so funny because, and I'm not making a mistake now. Well, Salom says it, but like Chimon says it. Basically, he says shit, but he like draws it out like shit, like they say when they say shit, right? And the captions, the English captions say, "Holy smokes!" And I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like, why did they do that? It's literally the funniest thing ever. I'm like, holy smokes! Like, okay, that's just, yeah. I thought it bear mentioning, because I don't know if people noticed that, because he literally just said shit. He said it in English as well. But you gotta love it when the good old captions just like, try and PG it right up. But yeah, and this I found this scene really cute and really like all sorts of I have all sorts of like giddy moments about this scene, but like seriously, Salom like covering the nips just like will forever send me
laughing, like you said you wouldn't do anything inappropriate, and he's laughing at the same time, like he's not even upset.
I know. Well, I saw someone react to it and go, he's like, oh, you said you were going to do the appropriate, but he's like, oh, let's go.
He's ready.
But I just love as well, like how Kang's like, I want you to put it on, and he's like, huh? And I love how he's just like, oh, okay, like he's just
Aren't
slowly,
we undressing right now? Why are you trying to
yeah, yeah.
dress me up again?
He's just slowly getting used to Kang being a big giant weirdo, basically. Like Kang is conditioning him to the fact that there'll just be one day like where he'll like come home or something, and Salon will be like fully wearing his clothes, and then he'll just take them off and like hand them to Kang because he's going out to work or whatever, just so he can
But
smell like
I
him.
mean,
Like it won't even be a conversation. He'll just give it to him. Like, here, have my clothes I've been wearing. Anyway, so like my next note that I have is literally I hate Kang's dad.
yeah, well, yeah.
And I feel like we can't say it enough. No, it's so funny because I did that thing. Remember, I mentioned it to you the other day where I accidentally spoiled myself again about something for the book. Because those of you who are just tuning in, neither of us have read the book. We don't know anything. Although I kind of know a couple of things because I keep accidentally spoiling myself.
I know nothing.
It was so funny though because you were like, "Tell me who it is so I can block that person," and you're like, "Oh no, I don't want to. We're mutuals."
I cannot do that. I'm just going to try to be more attentive, I guess.
I kind of only vaguely remember what it even
Makes
was,
sense.
but it was like enough of a thing to go like, because it's interesting because we've got so many theories now at this point about the father. I saw a really funny one earlier tonight, which was that like they said something about there being sexual tension between the father and Sophia in that scene where he gives him the look.
What?
Yeah. And I was just like, I didn't see that, but there was definitely something kinky going on. It was definitely weird the way he looked at him in that scene where he first like kind of shows judgment, like he's like, I don't like you, you're a bug on my shoe.
I think maybe it's because he wants to be seen as good, and suddenly Seifa was witness to this moment of him being prejudiced, and maybe he kind of realized that that's what he does, even though because that's what the granny told him, just stop making assumptions and check.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't like being seen as someone who's not perfect,
Yeah.
because he has to maintain this image, and now suddenly someone looks at him like,
Well, interesting. It's interesting because we have like Sophia, who I don't trust, but I'm not judging as harshly as I perhaps was before. I really don't know what to make of him.
Is it time for me to speak about Seifa?
Hang on a second.
Okay.
Let me finish my thought process. But with the father, I feel like I'm so judgmental of him, and yet
It's getting worse.
yeah, and yet, I mean, he's definitely given us a reason for it. Like, it's not like I've just suddenly turned around and gone, I hate this man for no reason. I mean, like, there are reasons. There are multiple reasons. I have notes.
I got those.
But like,
Why I hate Kang's dad. Point 1.
yeah. Well, it's funny because I just remember, talking about in I think it was the last critical discussion actually, talking about that scene where, Kang's remembering the kiss and everything. And
Yeah.
his father is present for that scene. And it's like, I remember saying, like, why is he even there? Like, he's not there.
Yeah.
And it was so more like, it's just like so like it was like someone took my notebook out and found that section and just underlined it so hard until like the pen went through the page. Like after the scenes we have with him this episode with him and Kang, I'm just I have such strong dislike for him. But yeah, I feel like maybe people seem to be surprised by that, so I'm guessing maybe that might be something different in the book. I don't know. I don't know, but I feel like it must be something, because the people are like, this is weird that they're doing this. So I don't know. So
What?
Yeah, sorry?
Doing what?
Making him so suspicious, the father.
Uh-huh. Well, they did. Like, remember in the podcast about episode 3, I think, or was it 4? I think it's 3. Like, when Kang's dad catches Kang playing video games, this music, this ominous
Yeah.
music starts playing, and the atmosphere is like, I was like, remember I was talking about it because it felt like Kang was expecting to get hit or something. Like, it was very weird. It was set up right from the beginning. It's not just suddenly here. That's why I wasn't at all surprised that he got hit. Maybe he
It's
didn't
it,
hit him before,
it's
but it was
interesting.
there. Like,
It's interesting that
maybe.
you say that he, because I've been thinking about this since he actually hit him, and also when you were talking about like Kang's self value and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
It keeps like dinging this bell in my ear, and it's taken me a couple of weeks to work out what it is. And I think if we go back to that time where you had the ominous music, and I
Yeah.
think I remember having the same reaction to you. Think I remember agreeing with you that that was definitely the vibe, which didn't make any sense at the time. And I
Mhm.
feel like actually makes total sense because of the
Now
way,
I'm
like,
asking myself.
it's but it's almost like Kang has been waiting for this blow that comes in this episode. And
Yeah,
I don't mean the
yeah,
physical hit, I mean the words he says to him.
yeah. Does this mean that, like, has he done this before, but maybe a long time ago, or did Kang basically feel this disdain simmering in his favor?
Yeah. And as I said, I don't think, like, he probably didn't even feel the slap. The words were the things that had the
Probably.
barbs in it.
Anyway, let's go back to the scene with Saifa, and so
Yeah.
I have some things to say about Saifa,
Okay, well,
especially.
you
Yeah.
talk to your heart's content about Sapphire.
I edited and listened to our previous podcast, the reaction, and we basically started it with me saying sci-fi is full of shit, and then
It was a
everything
roller
else
coaster ride.
happens.
Mm.
Yeah, everything's happened. So after watching the episode and staying with it for a while, like, something switched in my brain, and I started thinking about the way sci-fi was represented up until now, and how all the characters interacted with him, and how we started being apprehensive about him, and how also Kang's dad behaved with him. And I I got this unpleasant feeling because I felt like we were being led on to be just as prejudiced regarding Saifa as Kang's father was in this episode, in episode 8.
Mm.
So I started associating myself with Kang's father. I did not like it at all. So I went back and reconsidered some scenes with him. So in the beginning, he's trying to reassure his brother, like, this happens, I think, in episode 2 or episode 1, that he doesn't need to take part-time jobs. Like, this is during the first conversation that we see of them. He's trying to reason with Salom that he doesn't judge, so that Salom doesn't judge him for being a bit manipulative with the people in his care to get what he wants. So
He
we,
does also hang on, sorry. He does also say to him though, like, you can't expect to make the kind of money we need to make just basically doing an honest living. Like, he basically says to
exactly.
him, the only way you can make the money that we need is to be dishonest.
Yeah, because, and as we as a viewer already, like, this makes us, besides all the other stuff, this makes us think highly of Ceylon, because obviously he wants to uphold this perfect
Moral integrity.
morality. Yeah, exactly. But and this is how Saifa seems dicey in comparison. But
Mm.
everyone seems dicey in comparison to Salam, if you compare it to Salam. So then we judged him for being unreliable when he prepared that meal. But, doesn't it actually look like love? Like, Salom is so serious. He works all the time. Like, him trying to lighten up Salom's mood and make him a bit happier. Like, that's like something that
Yeah,
a parent
mean,
would
like,
feel.
I can see where you're coming from, but to me it's
Mhm.
still irresponsible. Like, when I mean, maybe he doesn't realize that Salom got the snot kicked out of him because of, like, his brother's stupidity and, like, not having the money on time and all the rest of it. But I feel like it
But
was,
why is it his brother's stupidity not having the money on time?
well, it's his responsibility, isn't it? If
Well,
he's
yeah, but
telling,
even if it's his responsibility, he's just an older brother. him not being able to get those money, like that's not his stupidity. He's just world, and him not, he's trying all in all the ways that he can, even
Yeah,
not
but I
really
feel
being
I feel
moral.
like if you're in a position where you okay, so maybe the debt isn't of his making or whatever. We did discuss this before. We don't know where the debt came from, right? The debt could have been left over from the parents for all we know. But if you know that there is something coming where you have to pay this money, otherwise the threat is violence, and more often than not, it seems like it's Salom
Yes,
who's
but we
copying it.
talked about it. We talked about how he got that guy. What was his name? What was his name? That we
The one
thought
in both.
actually he flirted with. Like he got him to agree. He got him to agree to give them more days. What happened is that those guys got drunk and they came to look, for adventures, basically, to
Yeah, I know.
punish
Yeah, I
people.
get all that, but that's that instance. But then Kang and Kang Salom says something to Kang later on, like when Kang basically says to him, what happens if you don't pay the money, and he's like, I get beaten up sometimes. So it's not the first time that it's happened. It's probably
Yeah,
the
but it
worst
happens
it's
to
ever
both
been.
of them because Saifa says something like they're going to beat us up again. So it happens. It's not like Saifa leaves and lets Salom deal with that.
No, but I guess I'm just saying, like, I still maintain, like, I get what you're trying to say. We're being led in a certain direction, which is completely possible because, like, all of these narrators that we're getting in this drama, they're unreliable because we're only seeing stuff from their points of view, and it's definitely going to lead us in one direction or another, especially if we like someone, like if we
Yeah.
like a
So.
character,
Mhm.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is like things like buying that fancy meal, or like he talks, say for example, the shoes. He talks his client into buying him expensive shoes. Well, like he would have been better off asking for money, or if that's not something he could do, then you sell the shoes. You don't take them home and wear them. Like that's a luxury that they can't afford. Do you know what I mean? Like realistically, that is not something Salom is ever going to thank him for.
I consider the stuff a little bit, and I'm not going to judge him for this. I think he basically he did dedicate his life to Salom, and who knows when their mother died. And
Mm.
now, what should we just judge him for, like wanting something nice a bit and wanting to make his
No,
brother
but
happy and
I don't know.
having
Yeah, I mean, I'm too tied up. I think in the main characters to.
Yes, exactly. This is why this is what I'm saying.
Mm,
Compared to Ceylon, this is what the framing has done to us.
mm.
So there's more. So and then Salom sees it as waste, so we see it as waste as well, because of course he does. This is him, and he decides to take that job because of course he does. And but did his brother ask him to do that? No, it's just Salom's way of being. He takes matters into his own hands. So then there was a post that I actually loved about after the episode when Salom appears at the hospital to take care of the granny. And someone said something like, "Oh, this he's has a creepy smile. Like no health worker smiles like this ever. Like he has some, you know, bad intentions or something." But then I thought about it again, and his smile is forced, okay? But look at the situation. The person who took your brother in, the only family that you have, is keeping him safe, is keeping him safe, is paying for your debts, has been placed in the hospital where you work. Yes, and you don't like rich people. You just trust them, and obviously, rightfully so, considering how he's treated with by Kang's dad. So you probably had bad experience with rich people, and you think it's unpleasant to serve them. But wouldn't you feel like you have to go to that person who's helping you so much? And isn't this the decent thing to do? And wouldn't you say yes if they probably request assistance, even if you don't really want to be around them, even that if that kind of makes you feel inferior or like unpleasant because that's what your attitude is towards rich people. I feel like the narrative has been framing this character up until now because Salom knows his brother and he doesn't really expect him to do something drastic. He doesn't take his comment about the safe seriously. It was us because we know the trailer, you know? Maybe that's Sefa's humor. Like, he likes pretty things, he likes money, and why wouldn't he? We were given the information that he is being arrested later, but we can't know if he actually deserves that. Why
Oh,
did we
look,
assume he's
I don't. I
guilty?
mean, we've talked about this at length, though. I don't necessarily think he's the villain of the story. Like, I would
Yeah.
be not be at all surprised. I mean, that whole scene that we get with Kang's father basically forcing the watch on him that he was accused of stealing is so
Hmm.
fucking suspect. It's not even funny. Like, first off,
Yeah, like,
besides being beyond insulting, it's so suspect because
yeah.
it's definitely. I feel like it's almost been set there in that, you know, we should, if it's not going to come up to bite him in the butt later on, I feel like we should have got a scene where basically he went to Granny and said, look, I'm really uncomfortable, your son's just given me this like for
Mhm.
extra work, and I feel extremely uncomfortable to accept it, given, you know, I was only just recently accused of stealing it, so I'm giving it back to you just so that you know, like,
No,
where
it's
I
funny.
stand.
Like, this scene reminded me of another scene. The scene with the it reminded me of the scene where Kang tried to frame Salom by putting his card in Salom's pocket at the car washing station.
Yeah, but he's doing it knowingly here. It's a bit slightly different, but yeah, I get what you're saying, and I feel like I
What do you
would
mean?
be very surprised. Well, you know,
Because you know,
supposedly Kang didn't know that Salom knew that he was doing that, whereas in this instance he's gifting it to him, well, under the guise of gifting it to him, whereas
it
considering they've
reminds me of
explained.
it. Yeah, but at the same time, Salom wouldn't accept that gift, but Saifa, I think he will keep it, but I'm not sure. But anyway, it just reminded me. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen because I have other doubts, like
Look,
more doubts.
I
So
wouldn't
I
be.
want to talk about more about Salom. About Saifa more. So, aren't we kind of acting and like Kang's favoring a bit? There's a big step from taking advantage of someone's kindness to committing an actual crime against a person who's been only kind to you. So what if this pattern that I'm seeing is here is correct, then the creators of the series are doing something very interesting and daring here, making us face our own prejudice. Like, what if we are complicit in framing him as well? I'm already questioning my own judgment. I might be wrong, and maybe he does do something stupid. Maybe he's coerced into doing it. Maybe he's rotten to the core. I have been wrong before, and you know, they kind of putting us in Cam's father's shoes, and
I
then
get.
if it really happens that he gets framed, like, then it's a fucking mic drop, and oh my fucking god.
Yeah,
And
but I mean,
also remember I talked about the face that he looked unhappy when grandma manifested kindness towards him. I said, like, his face was very interesting, like he looked unhappy
yeah,
when we he received the medicine. I think it's maybe because he's facing his own prejudice, because not all wealthy people are pieces of garbage.
yeah.
And
Oh,
he did
definitely.
think of this person as of some kind of like, he probably had unkind thoughts regarding her.
Yeah. I also, as I said, I mean, I think I mentioned something about like he's not used to doing the right thing and getting something good come from
Hmm.
it. So,
Yeah,
um,
and there's another line which I found is interesting in when they talk, him and the granny. Like, Saifa promises her that he'd do the very best for her. And it's a very interesting promise to make. And I don't like how this line is making me feel. Like, is he going to fail her somehow? Will he, like, come over and discover that something happened to her, meaning that he wasn't there to save her or help her when it happened?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've definitely traveled a bit of what you're saying with you. I don't necessarily agree with everything you've said.
Hmm.
I disagree. I disagreed with things he was doing before Salom had actually passed his judgment on things, because, but that is my own. Well, I suppose you could say prejudice, but that's my own life experience, and like from my own point of view, this is not something I would do. So this is, I feel, if I was had put myself in Salom's shoes, I would have been pissed off about certain things he did. That's just my reality, right? So regardless of how Salom felt about it, I already had an opinion. So I don't necessarily feel that I was led in that way. However, I get what you're saying. But anyway, besides all of that, I'm with you. I don't necessarily think he is evil. I'm not even necessarily expecting him to do anything bad. All we know from the trailer is that he gets arrested. I don't necessarily think that means he's guilty or that he's done anything. We've discussed that at length as well, that he could have been framed, he may be wrong, maybe it's the guys coming for the money he owns. Maybe he's inadvertently guilty, and that's what will actually bother him and haunt him, because not that he's done anything wrong, but that, and maybe we have been led in the right direction and he is a little bit shady, but in this instance it'll be like something where he wasn't shady, but yet still, something bad happened because he was there, if that makes any sense. We won't know until it happens, but I'm even less inclined to believe that he is going to betray his brother. But I mean, I can't really know. It's funny, I saw an interesting theory basically just before we started recording this. I was watching a little bit of the latest reactions by Harvey, and he said he wondered, because the father is acting so fucking like shady, that he had this interesting idea. What about if the father frames Safai because Kang and Salom run away?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
So like a punishment, basically. Like maybe, because
So,
let's face it, him having this watch, like I feel like it's going to come and bite him in the butt. So either something bad's going to happen and the father is going to use it as further evidence that he's guilty. If like maybe they're like, oh, we can't do anything because there's no evidence, and he's like, oh well, my watch went missing, and so then they search and he has the watch. Or maybe he's going to go and try and sell the watch and it'll turn up that it's been reported stolen, or like something along the lines of that. I It's so weird that he gave him that watch. It makes no
it's
sense.
not like that, but then there's another thing that happened that makes me question everything. Kang's dad tells his dad that he wishes he was dead, kind of. And when something like this happens in movies or series, that character dies.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did die in the original version, so it makes me wonder if, like, I'm bringing back the book, but we don't know anything, so I think it's okay to,
There's
like,
so many possibilities.
so, but like, it makes me wonder, like, because if in the original trailer, like, as I said, the story in the original trailer was that the father dies. So if that was more true to the book, which, as I said, we don't know, then in the book potentially the father dies. So if they are still going to keep to that, then it could happen. And I did say this. I did say I would prefer if he died because I like Granny. But that being said, I did say it would leave Kang with a whole heap of unresolved issues.
I feel like it's much more probable that the way that they set things up, it's more probable that she dies.
I think so, because if she dies, it's going to affect way more people.
Yeah.
Potentially, it's going to affect. Well, it affects Salom. It affects
What's
Safai. It affects Kang. Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, it's interesting as well, the whole thing with Sapphire too, like to go back to the watch thing as well. I keep coming back to that scene because we talked about how insulting it was for him
Mhm.
to offer him the watch. And it really was. When you get down to it, it's like there's this thing, right? It was a big enough issue for him to be like, oh, he stole it. But and then to fire someone over who did take it. Which
And
seems
there's
really,
also
it seems really
yeah.
bizarre to me as well, that like this driver who we assume, and I think he does say long time, doesn't he, or something like that, I don't know, but like this driver that he's had for, like, let's say probably years, has suddenly stolen a watch or tried to steal a watch. I mean, he's probably just like, I don't know, moved it
No,
or
but
something.
look at. I was just why I brought up the car washing scene where Kang tries to frame Kang. He tries to do that, and then remember how he ultimately actually hurts Salom also by framing him as a pedophile.
Mm.
So where did he learn this?
Oh
Where did
yeah,
he learn
well,
to do this?
oh yeah, there's so many learned behaviors in him from his father. It's not funny. And you see him realize that when he's having his flashbacks when they're arguing at the school.
Yeah,
Like
he basically comes to the conclusion that his behavior is a copy of his dad's behavior, like being condescending and prejudiced with people, buying his way into people's hearts and buying his position and taking
it's
advantage.
interesting. It's interesting too that Salom features in that. I mean, it makes sense obviously because the story's about them, but like Salom isn't the only person he was like that with. I feel like we see those scenes, and he sees or he remembers those scenes because this is him directly hurting someone he cares about by
You
behaving the
remember
same way his
remember
father
how
did.
like I made this post like realizing you bullied the person that you are in love with. This is
Yeah,
what happened. This is this moment.
yeah, it
This
is. It
is
really is
this
this
is
moment.
moment that hurts him the most.
Yeah. And that's why it's funny actually, interestingly enough, that him saying, the line, I have nothing left. It's almost like he thinks in that moment, and he may very well, that he has lost Salom, even though like
Yeah.
there's no evidence to support that in that moment, but it's like he's
Oh my
remembering
God,
these
you're
things.
so right. Because basically, what his dad does to him right now is
He's
like
taken away his
bullying, like
achievements.
destroying something that he's supposed to love. And now he loves Salom, and what he sees is that he did that to Salom,
Yeah.
and
But I think
he feels completely destroyed. Like I guess Salom felt that way too.
Yeah. And I feel like that, but also I also feel like his dad in that moment, like when he discovers that his dad has had a hand in his achievement, he's taken away this thing that he thought he'd done that is impressive, that he's like he said, like the night before when he cries and everything, and he says, like I'm not just some like spoiled rich kid anymore, like I'm someone, I've done something, I can do it, like you believe
I
in
can
me,
have
right,
you.
kind of, you
Yeah.
support me, and then suddenly in like one foul swoop his father's taken that away. So like he's let in his mind, let's in his little lizard brain, as I like to refer to it, he has let Salom down. He's let Salom down. He hurt Salom. He's he like he has nothing. Like he has nothing to offer him. Like what does he do in that moment? Like I have nothing left, and I just love I the visuals. The visual director is so clever. Like this scene where he's like, I have nothing left, and then Saloma's like, you have me, and we know that's going to be echoed back to us later on in reverse.
Yeah.
And we see this like direct, and it's the same thing happens in the kiss too, when Salom starts to tentatively kiss him back, we see Kang calm, and in this
Oh my
scene
God. Yes.
we see the exact same thing when he says to him, you need to get your shit together, like you need to do it. And the same thing happens in the pool as well when he's going to throw the bike keys away and they fight and he says the same thing then. He's like, what's the point, kind of thing. And he's like, well, you can do it for me,
But you know
Now,
what's interesting? Like Salom chose Kang, and he still believes in him. He values Kang more than his father's money, more than his own stability. But this has been happening for a while. But this is the first time when Kang is finally facing this truth.
yeah.
Also, I thought about I rewatched some things from the beginning, and also where Kang's cruelty comes from. Remember the line, the conversation with Kang of Kang and Fa, where he's like, "My dad told me when you tame a dog, don't be afraid to punish it, to let it learn."
Yeah.
We kind of overlooked that when it
Yeah.
happened.
Well, I mean, like, that's a fucking lesson to give a kid, isn't it? Like, seriously.
Mm.
I actually remember my mum commenting on that. She said something about that, about the fact that that's not a lesson that you should teach your kids,
Yeah.
or something like that. I can't quite remember, but
You
yeah,
know
I
what's
mean,
also interesting? Like when Salom is being open and kind to him and asking him to calm down, Kang does. But it doesn't really work the other way around, does it?
no, it doesn't, because they react and influence each other in different ways. Like he, it'd be interesting to see like moving forward what happens, because when it takes a lot to make Salom really angry is the first thing. Because let's face it, he's been pissed at him, but he hasn't really been angry. We haven't really totally fully seen that, I don't think, from him. But I mean, potentially, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that would all resolve itself. But yeah, I just
It
loved the
tells
vision.
him when he was angry, he used violence against Kang when Kang
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's
trained
probably,
him
yeah, that's that time there where he
to get rid
punched him
of
with
it.
his money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, which is another
Oh
symbolically
my God,
visually
punch
beautiful
him with
scene.
the money. And what if like with the if with escorting thing, it's Kang again throwing money into his face. It's again, and maybe what if this time he doesn't punch him with the violence, like maybe he punches him with his words by saying
Yeah,
something,
maybe something using the
taking
money,
taking away his approval, taking away his love.
or the money comment that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would make sense. He's using money to hurt him again. It's so interesting too the way he uses money to hurt Kang when if you think about what he says to Kang, and he sees that scene when he's thinking about his father as well, when he says about how have you noticed how you use money to try and get into people's hearts or like
Yeah.
win them over or whatever. And like the
Mhm.
two, like, potential, like this time when he physically hurt him was he punched him with his money.
Yeah.
And if we get that comment where he's like, I've only been around for the money or something like that, the two things that could hurt him the most is like this thing that he's offering and Salom is rejecting, and he uses them as weapons against him. It's very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's visually like
So
the
cool.
scene where he punches him with the money is
I'm
very visually
fangirling so hard.
is very it's very visually interesting, but I also love
Yes.
the visual of him just like the fist unfurling after he says you have me. Like it's so well acted, so well directed. And I have to just say, like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna lower the intelligence in the room, but oh my god, Perth is still hot even when he's crying.
I think I was looking back at the first episode and I think Shimon is so hot when he's angry. Like
Yeah,
his
I agree.
eyes
I
have
agree.
this very interesting shape when he's pissed. Like it's
He's
just
very intense and it's very attractive on him. And like, yeah, if I was the director, I would be making Perth cry all the time. I'm like,
this
let's
is so
put him in a
fascinating,
drama.
basically.
I'm like, let's put him in a drama with Gun Out of Pen and just have them hang out together, two besties who cry. I would fucking pay money to watch. Like, hands down. I feel like that would be a good time. And we could have Shinon in the corner being super, 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 super
I
angry and
agree.
intense. And then we could have off just being like super like angry slash intense slash hilariously funny because he does clown so good.
Okay, so do we have anything left but the bike scene?
I do have. What else did I have? I wanted to say. Before we move on to the bike scene, yeah, I just a couple of things. So I was like really proud of Kang for like standing up for his dad in this scene because like his father's just so fucking horrible. Okay, I wanted to go back because while we were having our break, I thought of something because earlier I mentioned that we were talking about, the lack of their physical intimacy, which in actual fact, I mean, is, I don't know, there's an awful lot of cute hugging going on. And it's funny
Very
because I said,
natural interactions, physical interactions
well,
as
it's
well.
fun. It's funny because like I'm perpetually single, right? And I said to my mom the other day, like literally the only thing I really miss from a serious relationship with someone is hugging is like hugging somebody. Like I'm a very physically affectionate
Mhm.
person, so I miss like laying on the couch and snuggling. Like I don't really miss anything else. I'm like, because I
Mhm.
feel like past relationship history, they're all complicated. I'm just like, but I miss like being held or something. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I think people are overlooking what we are getting from them as being insignificant, and I don't think it is. But anyway, I mentioned the fact that he had past physical abuse that may be affecting that. And I was rethinking it because I don't really think Salom is afraid of physical intimacy with Kang because of past physical abuse. I mean, it would make complete sense if he was, especially because Kang tried to be basically a contributor to that. But Kang is actually his savior, like in so many ways. Even if Salom hasn't really admitted it to himself yet, that's what Kang is. Kang has definitely fulfilled that role for him a bunch of times. And I feel rather than Salom,
they're each other's heroes.
yeah,
They're each other's
or
saviors.
heroines, as
Heroes.
as Salom would say.
Yeah.
But I feel rather Salom is probably more careful with his heart, because he's both pragmatic, but also he thinks, once again, in life is transactional. Like, and I feel like this doesn't really fit his feelings for Kang. Like, how do you? I feel like he would have trouble trying to fit his feelings for Kang inside his logic box. Like, he can't exchange this intimacy he has with Kang for like funds or something, because like that's not like even in the realm of what they're doing. It's like it's priceless, their intimacy. And so how do you go ahead with an exchange of goods, so to speak? And I feel like Salom should be afraid of Kang. Like, he was his bully, and yet he's always kind of loved him. So for a boy who wholeheartedly is pragmatic to love someone like Kang, who's wholeheartedly like not, who's passionate and like is impulsive and very open with his
Romantic
vulnerability
as
and his
well.
desires and his everything.
Yeah.
When someone like Salom who's ruled by logic and not theories, he can't really make it fit in his mind logically. Like, logically they should hate each other. Like, logically he shouldn't trust Kang. He should have continued on his plan that he had, this plan that he had for himself.
Yeah.
And yet Kang won't let him. He's constantly dipping his balance. Like, he couldn't make him bend, but he can definitely make Salom fall. And I feel like that terrifies him, and he just won't admit it.
Yeah.
He can't let go, because
He
if he
can't. He
falls,
can't.
he
He
doesn't
can't
know what happens
bend.
after.
He never bends. He only breaks.
Yeah. But I think the thing that he's not understanding is, I feel like Kang wouldn't let him break. Like, he'll catch him.
Kang doesn't want to break him anymore.
No, he doesn't. He
He
just
wants
wants him
him
to
to
lean.
just lean on him, as you mentioned. Like, he doesn't even want to bend him. He wants just to have Salom lean on him.
Yeah. So anyway, so before we move on to the extra scene that we got, which is a really weird scene to me, I wanted to talk a little bit about the trailer just quickly. The scene in the bathtub, which I missed the first time around, you had
How
to
could
point out
you?
to
How
me.
could you?
I don't know. I think I must have blinked. It is a very quick scene. Like, it's very quickly slotted in there, but I love it because it's so funny, because you see like Salom, and he's like, like where you brushing water out of your eyes when you get water in your eyes or something, and then he like opens his eyes and Kang is just like in the tub with him. I feel like he might not have been in there before he started wiping his face away.
Maybe Kang asked him to close his eyes again.
Yeah, maybe just close your eyes for a second. But yeah, or I mean, of course, we could be wrong. Kang may have jumped into the tub, and that may have been how he got water in his eyes. But either way, I feel like that scene's going to be hilarious. Let's be real, they'll be wearing bathers or underwear, so it's not like it's going to be some scandalous, bathtub scene. But anyway, the motorbike scene from the not the trailer, but like the credits bit where you see the bike, yeah, the bike parked with all the shopping bags around it. I remember every time I saw that scene, I thought it was such a weird scene. Like, I'm just like, especially given the relationship they seem to have, and I'm like, when are they likely just to go shopping, or like, Salom to let Kang buy him things, or like whatever, which is, to me, it seemed to be implying that it was something like that. But obviously that happens now, because they're like, money, 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 and they're just going on like a little crazy thing. So I'm assuming
there was a scene in the first trailer where they were talking about something like, can I be your sugar daddy? And Salah was like, yeah, sure, why not? What if something like this happens in the next episode? A discussion like this.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, we know to have a discussion about the money thing, and once again, it's mentioned that he's there for Kang and not anything else. So yes, but and as I said, we see this kiss that Salom. It looks like Salom initiates, which I feel like this kiss, as I said, this kiss will give us an indication as to whether they've been kissing all along or whether or not this is the next big kiss, and it'll also prove whether or not we were correct in that our assessment of the original kiss as to whether or not it was all meant to be like
I
that,
think
directed, acted that way, or whether it's just a lack of chemistry. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I think it's going to be amazing. So
I don't even think that it's going to change my opinion on the first kiss anymore. Like it was pretty much like the things that happened after the kiss proved to me that it was intended that way. So even if their kiss sucks, like that kiss had to be like that, but maybe they just suck at kissing.
maybe. Okay, so let's go to the unless you had anything you want to say about the trailer.
No.
No. Let's move on to the extra scene that was at the end of this episode. So we've got a bunch of different episode, like let's call them extras, throughout the series. A lot of them have been an excuse to do product placement. In actual fact, I think at least half of them have been product placement, which is fine. It's not unusual. Sometimes I'd much rather they did it like that because it's less, it's some cute little fun thing that's extra, but it doesn't like
Yeah.
ruin the flow of the show. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but this scene is really bizarre because the only thing I can see that is a name brand in this scene is the bike, which is the Ducati, which I didn't even notice. Like, once again, my mum pointed it out to me. She's like, "Oh, it's a Ducati," and I'm just like, "Okay." So yeah, this scene to me is so weird. Like, it's such a weird scene for them to put here. Like, it looks like the scene to me, it definitely belongs to last episode. Like, it belongs to episode 7, not episode 8. It pretty much feels like it belongs in the middle of episode 7. So like, we have this scene where Salom is like, "Oh, teach me how to ride the motorcycle," which in itself is a bit weird. And then Kang is like, "Sure," because he loves teaching his baby things, and he's so excited. He's like, "This is where the clutch
Yeah.
is." And they have this like cute little moment, and it's all very like episode 4, right? That's the first thing, and then we get Salom is riding the bike. He's really good at it. Of course, he is. He's good at everything. And then Kang is like, "You like me, right? Tell me you like me." And it's all very like, "We're not together yet. I need you to admit your feelings to me," kind of like, I'm still trying to prove myself before we make it official. Like, it seems to fit in the narrative where Kang was like,
I
like,
see it differently, and I see it in a way that makes it fit this moment. But continue, please. I will say what I think a bit later.
okay, just I feel like it's and as I said, the reason why it seems very like it's very kind of, except for the fact that we get to see Kang teaching Salom something again, it's kind of a weird scene because I think I don't know whether it's the first time he gets on the little bike or the first time he gets on the big bike, but I'm pretty sure Salom says something about like it's his first time, or he's not really like super eager to get on the back of the motorcycle. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, part of that's probably that is that he just really doesn't trust Kang like at all at that point in time. But also, I get the impression that he's not really like super eager. But then suddenly he's all like, "Oh, I want to learn how to drive it," and just everything about the scene seemed off to me and seemed weird. And I'm wondering if maybe they just didn't have something to put here, or if it belongs to, if I'm correct, like if my theory is correct, and it belongs to episode 7 and they didn't use it for episode 7, but they thought it was important enough to include it in episode 8, is that I'm now theorizing, will Salom need to know how to ride Kang's motorcycle at some point? So is he going to potentially need to maybe, as I said, ride Kang's motorcycle because Kang can't, he's incapacitated in some way, or maybe he needs to like steal a motorcycle to get away from something bad? I feel like it feels to me like this information is being dumped on us so that
Mhm.
later on we don't go, okay, so how come he can suddenly now ride a motorcycle, the boy who was afraid? But as I said, I might be reading too much into it, but it felt weird to me. But tell me your theory. I'm open to ideas.
So my theory, what has been happening in episode 8? Basically, Kang asking for affection and Salom deflecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a way. And what we kind of assume that's going to happen in episode 9, something is going to happen between them. Like they're going to be alone in that hotel room. Something's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this.
You think? Hang on, wait. You think Salom's gonna freak out, jump on the motorcycle, and take off? No, I'm just joking. Anyway, go.
Maybe, but also I feel like this scene might function as a final acknowledgement of their mutual attraction, because we had this moment with that I did not really think about the first time I watched it, and then it really jumped like at me the
Oh, the
second time
whole
when
I didn't
Kang's
used to like it, but now I do comment.
no
Oh,
with when Kang teaches Salom how to ride the bike, he puts his hand onto Salom's hand, and they exchange this gaze, and it's very intense. It's long. It's like, and no one deflects. No one is making this weird, and it kind of fades away because this is not the time, and this is, they're doing something right in that moment. So I feel like this is finally the moment of. It's funny that you said first time on the motorbike, super eager. So, and Salam and Kang asking, "So are you starting to like it just yet?" And Salam responding with, "I used to despise it, but now I'm starting to like it now." Is more about the physical attraction that they have for each other, because Kang looks at Salam with desire and have a look of, "Oh, so you want me?" And he really wants this repeated to him. I feel like this is them finally acknowledging that they want each other.
it could be. I don't know. I'll be curious to see whether or not. I guess the only way we're gonna find out is if Salom needs to ride Kang's motorcycle. If that doesn't
Mhm.
happen, then you're totally right.
I want you to go and watch that scene again and
Just for me,
touch
it
and
just felt immature
mm,
in their interactions. That's why I felt like it didn't belong. So like even Salom saying, about the, I didn't used to like it, now I like it thing, that's pulling that back
mhm.
to, much earlier episode. And Kang's like, do you like me? Do you like me? Do you like me? Like, just seemed to fit before the confirmation of we're official now.
For me, it wasn't "Do you like me? Do you like me?" It was "Do you want me? Do you want me?"
Well, you know what? I don't know. We don't speak Thai. He could have been saying, "Do you want me?" Because before Salom was saying shit, and apparently was holy smokes.
Because we already know that they're not speaking about the bike. It's about the two of them, and he already knows that Salom likes him.
Well,
So it's
you're
not
right.
about
It's
the like;
interesting.
it's about
Yeah,
the want.
it's interesting too because you're correct. He is asking for an acknowledgement of a statement of facts where we know that Kane used it once before to describe their relationship and his feelings. He's developing feelings, even though he wasn't admitting it to himself. When he says it to Salom when they're studying, he's talking about them because he later on. Oh, hang on, or is it Salom that says it back then?
No, it's Kang saying that I used to despise it, now I like it. But placed here and with that moment on them looking at each other, and with Kang's hand on Salom's hand, it's about the physical attraction. They already know they like each other. It's about something else. It's
No,
about
no,
them
but I'm
wanting it.
just saying, like, there's an acknowledgement of that though as well. Like, there's an acknowledgement of the fact. I feel like as well that's also an acknowledgement of Kang. I feel like that's like Kang's way also of acknowledging that when they had this conversation previously, that he was talking about his feelings for Salom.
I didn't think that, but maybe.
There's been a lot this episode that we did not agree on, but there's also been a lot that we did. There's been a lot of
This is fun
interesting things I feel like that you've come up with. I'm definitely curious to see where it's going to go. I mean,
Yeah, me too.
I feel
Like
like
it can go in so many different directions. They planted so many things, and I wonder which ones will,
go into
actually.
fruition. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just, I really just hope that they do pick up these threads that they've dropped and tie them all together in a way that's satisfying. They've done such a good job so far, so I'm, you know, I'm on the ride. I'm on the trip. I'm on the road all the way to the end. But I I feel like next episode, I really thought that this was going to be our last sort of somewhat good episode with drama
mm-hmm.
thrown in, obviously, because we knew that the confrontation with the father was coming, and that
Mm-hmm.
reveal was coming, and I feel like now next episode is probably going to be our next sort of our last sort of happy
Yeah,
sort of like actual real relationship type episode where they're back in their bubble and they're not afraid to be together and things like that. um but it's the whole time we're watching it, I feel like we're going to be like stressing about what's to come. Well, that was fun.
at least for us it was.
If you made it to the end, I'm not sure if we should apologize or congratulate you.
But thanks again for spending your time with us. Join us in the next podcast as we react to the next episode of Dangerous Romance.
Please check out our Twitter and Tumblr at criticallyobs for all future posting schedules.
Bye for now, I'm Mirella.
And I'm Zoe, and we'll see you next time.